So for today's post, I just had somebody sort of follow me on Instagram, and I'm always curious when people find me because I don't do any advertising, and so I just happened to look at one of their things because it would say mindful mentoring, and I thought, oh, mindful mentoring sounds great. And then their slogan was, "I lead you from who you are to who you want to be." Well, for me, this already is not mindful. Well, it's full of mind in sense of that's who I want to be. That's a thought. That's an idea. That's quite the opposite of what mindfulness is intending to do, which is about getting out of our thoughts. And that this is one of the biggest issues in the world of wellness right now, is these conflation between ideas and things that are, and sometimes in Buddhism called near enemies of truth, things that look like something that are actually entirely different. So they are intended to be helpful, but actually are very, very dangerous. So, for example, to say, I take you from who you are to who you want to be, first of all, implies that who you are is not good, and that who you want to be is different than who you are, but that actually is impossible. Even if I became who I wanted to be, if I had an idea of who I wanted to be, I would still be who I am. And so these words and these phrases that people use, which sound great, they're sugary, they sound so good. Ooh, that sounds great. I want to be this other thing, right? Especially when I'm lost with who I am. And I think that if I'm someone else, that's going to help me. This is actually like the worst thing that can happen. Now, I understand many people have been educated in this way, have been taught that oh yes, I just, only if I was this other thing. These so-called coaches and people who are intending to help ultimately are doing more damage, because whoever you are is who you are. And to try to be an idea of who you are is not who you are. It is an idea of what you want to be. Not to say you can't get there. That's something entirely different. Of course, you can grow and become into that. But generally what happens also along that way, as we start to move in the direction, we see that that isn't actually the direction we do want to go into. It's still just an idea. And so to start to get us out of this mental way and using mindfulness to get out of the mind and into the process in the moment, right? Into being here and now. Well, what's here? Well, I'm not comfortable here. Great. Not that it's great to be uncomfortable, but to say, okay, if there was other ways, this might be helpful. Now we can start to explore the other ways. But what happens in this sort of sense is, I want to be there. I have to go there. But actually, that's not true. You will get there and realize something else isn't, because we're bouncing from ideas to ideas to ideas instead of being with underneath the ideas, being with who we are and what we are and all of that. Now that sounds maybe confusing or complicated or hard. It's actually not. The work that I do, which can be done in person or even online, is to start to help people find that place of who we are, of what we are, of where we are, which is not a concept. A concept comes later, but there's a state before the concept that's a pure knowingness. That is what a mindful coach should be doing, but most are not. I'm happy to help mindful coaches and non-mindful coaches find that. And that's part of what these videos are intended to, is to start to shift the understanding towards a deeper place of acceptance, of embodiment, of these other words of meditation, these other words and concepts that are pointing to something before the concept, which is allowing us to actually be as opposed to be a concept. I'll get a little too wordy, so I'm going to stop it there. I hope this brings a little bit of partly a little discomfort, because it might be a different idea, which is uncomfortable to challenge ideas. But I hope it also brings an inquiry and a questioning and something of excitement and or growth to you, and a recognition that actually wherever you are is perfectly fine, because you're there. Now, that doesn't mean we have to stay there, but that doesn't also mean that we need to start to jump from an idea to an idea. So how can we continue to grow in our most authentic and organic way, which is not necessarily constructual ideas? All right, calling it today. See you at the next video. Peace.